Welcome to the God's Good Table podcast, where you can learn all about nutrition, healthy eating and lifestyles, non-toxic healing modalities, and what the Bible has to say about all of this. So if you're interested in any of these topics, stay tuned.
Today's podcast is brought to you by Green Pasture Products.
Green Pasture fermented cod liver oil and butter oil products contain vital nutrients, including a broad spectrum of vitamins D and A, as well as essential fatty acids and naturally occurring antioxidants, and all in a form that our bodies easily recognize and assimilate. Include Green Pasture products in your daily routine to help build robust health and strong immunity. Click on the link in our show notes and use the code GGT10 for 10% off your order.
Good morning or afternoon or evening, wherever you are. This is Maureen again from God's Good Table. I'm here today with two of my favorite people. I get to see them often when I go to speak and exhibit, and I always love to say hello to Bev Martin and Nancy Rohr from Simply Ghee. Simply Ghee is a product that I'm very excited about, and I've been using it now for quite some time. I really love it. So I'm excited to talk to you ladies about Simply Ghee. And first, we're going to start out by letting you tell a little bit about yourselves and what brought you to this.
Okay, well, thanks, Maureen, for having us. I'm Bev. This is Nancy. We're known as the Ghee Gals. We started back in, I think it was around 2013, sort of as a side to our marketing company. We wanted to create a tangible product, and we weren't sure what that was. And speaking personally, I was having some really bad health issues, and I think it was on like year number 10, maybe that's a little long, but around year number 10 as a strict vegetarian. And I was receiving some really interesting Ayurvedic massage practices from a woman, and I would see her 3, sometimes 4 times a week. And she was the one that said to me, "Oh my gosh, Bev, you don't have any bounce in your fascia. Like there's nothing there. Are you eating any fat?" And I'm like, "Nope, not even really olive oil." She said, "You need good fats, girl." And actually turned me on to ghee. And eventually I took some of her cooking classes, kind of learned that way. But the first time I ate it, I thought, oh my gosh, I could feel my body just sort of suck it in. It was amazing.
Yeah.
I loved the flavor of it. And so that's kind of my angle of the story. Still looking for a tangible product to market. And then Nancy's, her input is also key to this.
Yeah, my path was a little bit different. I was always intrigued by my grandmother's cooking, and when she was a young woman, she actually had a farm and she would churn her own butter. I mean, I didn't know her then, but obviously, but she always used a lot of butter and a lot of cream, and I just grew up like just loving butter. Like I put butter on everything. So I actually did start making ghee at home, and I thought, wow, the same way kind of reaction that Bev had. It was just so really just a wonderful flavor, and it just gave butter. It enhanced. It was different from butter, but it was like there was something about it that was just really unique and special, and loved the way you could cook with it without it burning. You could actually get that buttery flavor in your food. So I just thought that when I did some research on ghee, I found that most people really do just associate it back then with Indian cooking. And I thought, this is like a best kept secret. It was really a great opportunity to just start out, because there weren't that many ghee makers back then. And a lot of people did just associate it with Indian cooking. And we wanted to make it more mainstream. There's so many other ways to use it that I think people didn't know about. So the timing was right. Butter was back. The
Time magazine.
The Time magazine, right?
Really.
Right. So the timing was all good. So I think we were really led in that direction. So
plus,
the rest is history. Yeah.
We live in Lancaster County.
Yes.
And loads and loads of dairy farms.
Yeah.
So that was another thing that really steered us in that direction too.
Yeah. And the dairy farms that you are utilizing are all grass-based, not necessarily always certified organic, but using beyond organics practices.
Yes, they practice.
Yeah. And
There's a lot of work and time and effort and paperwork that goes into that certification. And these farmers don't have time to do, they don't have time to do that.
It's also very expensive and somewhat meaningless because USDA organic standards allow things that I don't want.
Exactly. Right.
Yes.
And so, really, we have always practiced on the principle of know thy farmer, period.
Yep. Yeah. So, I always had a sticker on my car that said, know your farmer. I don't currently. That's
anyway, that's kind of how Simply Ghee was born.
Yeah.
We went very slowly. We did an event. And if I had $1 for every what's ghee question, we would have made $1 million. And that was just kind of to test it to see if there was any interest whatsoever. Plus, there was a local grocery store here that was very supportive of us. And so she was our first retailer, so to speak. And then we just kind of grew from there.
Yeah. And I think I first saw you at a Pennsylvania Association of Sustainable Agriculture passing.
Yes.
About 2018, maybe, or 2017.
Something like that.
Yeah. So I was already familiar with ghee and using it from time to time, but I was really excited when I met you. And I have to say, your own excitement is infectious on both your parts. So I love that. But the enthusiasm for ghee, and you both alluded to the Indian roots of ghee. That fascinates me. Do either of you want to expand upon that?
All that I want to say is I love Indian food, but I hate cooking it. I'm the kind of cook that slaps it together. They call me the stovetop cyclone. I just throw it together and it's amazing. With Indian food, I have to follow recipes. Yeah. And I can't stand it. I get lost. What was I doing? I don't have the mindset for that. So the other part of this too, and maybe Nancy said, was, this needs to be more mainstream and this needs to be part of everyday cooking and not just for those special ethnic dishes, like scramble your eggs or throw in your coffee or butter a piece of toast, whatever, it really needs to be every day. And remember, we were sitting down at Panera that one night with Steve, and we were saying, okay, this is kind of what we want it to be. We want it to be simple. We want it to be elegant and out of this world in regards to flavor.
Yes.
So what's the name? And we were like, how about Simply Ghee?
It makes sense.
Right there. And then Steve, we were trying to do a tagline. And the tagline was, we went through a bunch of them, but it ended up being a better butter. And that's kind of and it came so easily. We just went with it. It was really kind of funny how that all turned around. Yeah.
One of the things that I like about ghee is that it's like a concentrated butter flavor.
Yes.
Yes.
And of course, it has health properties as well that we'll go into. But I like that simplicity. It is just a better butter.
And Maureen, the one thing that I like about it more than I love good grass-fed butter. Don't get me wrong. I eat it by the tablespoon. But I love that caramelized nuttiness that is kind of it finishes your palate once you swallow it. And that is just from cooking the milk solids out. So they're caramelizing and they impart that nutty caramelization that you don't have that in butter. So it's it's really delicious. And then also with cooking, sometimes you can taste it, sometimes you can't. It just depends on what you're making. So
yeah, I find that just a dash more of salt brings out the butteriness.
Yes. Right. Definitely salt. Good salt.
Yes, good salt. But you mentioned, of course, ghee is butter minus the milk solids and minus the water portion. And so that not only interacts with flavor profile, but also with health benefits, right? Yeah. Do you have customers that who utilize the product just because of that? Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, we do. We found that when we do events and talk to people that, and some of our online customers as well, like some people take a teaspoon of ghee every day. It gives them energy. A lot of people now, including myself, I love it in coffee. If you just put a teaspoon of it in coffee, if you have a frother or what do they call those? Whizzers or frothers or whatever. Yeah. And
if you're like me and you like your Nespresso.
Oh, okay. That too. Yeah, that's good too. And I'm a black coffee drinker, so I wasn't sure, but I really have grown to just love that. And it's very satiating as well. So you get good quality, healthy fat in the morning, or if you do it later on in the day, but it's very satiating. You don't get hungry, as at least in my experience, and other people have said that. So
that's a real benefit of incorporating healthy fats as a supplement, even not
right. And it's a special. I think what makes ghee special also is that it has the fat soluble vitamins A, D, E, and K, which the body doesn't produce. So that's like a big hit with people that are, that look to it for those health benefits. So perfect blend of omega-3 and 6, the ratio, it's like an avocado. So there's a long list of health benefits as well.
The other thing, and there's a smaller percentage of customers who are lactose intolerant or casein sensitive. And so, they're like totally surprised when they go, oh, I can't do dairy or I can't do butter. And the questions are, well, what is it about dairy that makes you sensitive? And then you should say lactose or casein. Well, this doesn't have any. We cook it out. Really? Like they're all excited and they're going, oh, so-and-so could eat this and so-and-so could eat that. You know what I mean? So it's kind of interesting that way. But we don't want people to just think that because you're lactose or casein sensitive or intolerant that you should eat ghee. I mean, we want everybody to eat ghee because of all the nutritional benefits of it.
Yeah. And two things. Yes, I definitely wanted to talk about the lack of casein and lactose so that sometimes when I talk with people who have gut damage and autoimmune issues, and we talk about gut healing, we talk about, well, we can't have this or we can't eat that because it makes us sick or have symptoms or whatever. When we're talking about gut healing, it's not just so that you can eat certain foods that you can't now. It's also because you want the nutritional benefits, and ghee is very rich. Not all ghee, but ghee from grass-fed animals coming from clean pastures. Yeah.
Yes. Especially that A2.
Yes.
We can talk about that later, but that A2 is some of the most nutrient dense ghee I've ever seen.
Yes. Well, talk about that. What makes that extra special?
Well, A2 is the way cows used to be once upon a time. And through farming practices and domestication of the cow, there was a genetic mutation that took place in a protein. So that mutated, and I try to dumb this down because sometimes I have a hard time understanding it, but the protein / amino acid that was mutated is typically what's on the grocery shelves today, referred to as A1, A2 dairy. A2 is the way it used to be. So what you find on the grocery shelves today, a lot of people are very sensitive to that amino acid that's in there. And that is calls for like congestion, gastrointestinal issues, gas, whatever dairy does to you. With A2, since that is missing, most people don't have that kind of reaction. So those people can actually consume A2. The very interesting, and we're talking cow, but all other mammals, including human beings, breast milk is A2. So it makes complete sense that your body would be able to absorb and utilize the nutrients in A2 dairy, since your body's set up for A2. So it's amazing. When we said, oh my gosh, human breast milk is A2, the light bulb went on. It's like, well, that makes complete sense. So with A2 in that milk, you have a higher protein content. You also have a higher fat content. Now, people will go, well, you cook the protein out. Yes, we do. But the overall quality and nutrient density of that dairy to begin with is so amazing that it affects the overall flavor profile, the consistency, the amazing quality, the nutritional benefits of it. It just affects the whole thing. So that's why when you look at it inside the jar, you go, you put a knife down there and it would never, ever move, and then our domestic grass-fed can be softer. So you could move that, but that A2 is dense. And you need just a small amount, for the benefit.
Yeah. And it is
amazing.
incredible.
It's so delicious.
And Nancy, I think it was you who mentioned all the other vitamins too. And I always like to make sure people understand that those nutrients only come from animal foods.
Right.
Now, K2, that can come from NATO, which most people don't care if they even know about it, because it really does look pretty gross. So K2 is found in
it ferments
plant foods. Yes, fermented in particular. But vitamins A and D, true vitamins A and D, are only found in animal foods. You can't get vitamin A from a carrot. But butter fat from a grass-fed animal is very rich in true formed vitamin A. Our guts can't really do that. Depending on our gut condition, we may or may not be able to convert carotenes to true vitamin A, but that is a critical nutrient, as is D in the human diet. So ghee is very rich in that, and it's very important. And that's why some of us, including me, take it. I mix it with coconut oil, and I have a spoonful of it at least once a day, in addition to my cooking with it. I use it just as a nutritional supplement.
Yeah, I'm really excited that people are finally, we see this more and more, that people are finally knowing that all fats aren't created equal. And there actually is a thing called a healthy fat. It seemed like an oxymoron before, but there are healthy fats and you need them. And it's good to see that. I think people are starting to look at it different, not there yet, but getting there. So
getting there. And
I'm
the
really
healthy fats that are truly healthy are not what we've been told are healthy fats. The industrialized seeds and nut oils are not healthy by any means, other than oil, coconut oil, palm oil. But
don't get me started on that one.
Don't get us like seed oils.
No, because you're not editing.
Okay, we won't do that today. But it's very, very true. Those heart healthy oils that are marketed and on the shelves are harmful. They cause heart damage as well as much other damage. Canola oil, soybean oil, corn oil, vegetable oil are very, very harmful oils.
And it's in everything.
It's in everything. The other thing about that is I forget who I read, but like a decade ago, those were considered toxic waste.
Yes, some of them.
So now they're considered heart healthy. Pardon my French, but how the hell did that happen?
Yeah. What marketing by the industrialized food system.
Yes. So it's crazy. Let's talk about something else.
I get passionate about that subject too, especially when I'm working with someone who's trying to overcome major health problems. And I just recently did this with someone, and they're telling me that they're on a statin and they can't have butter. And oh no, wait, we got to back up. We've got to back up because you need really healthy fats, and butter fat from grass-fed cows is far, far superior nutritionally than all of those industrialized versions, and even butter off the shelf from a conventional dairy, which is highly toxic and lacking nutrients. So when you take a well-prepared ghee product like you have, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh no, I was going to say, I just, something that I didn't think of for a lot of my life was really what I was interested in knowing more about eating healthy and nutritious foods, but to go back take a step back and look at what the animal is eating was something that was pretty new to me until we got into this business. Like I never really thought of that. I thought, oh, it's healthy, but what did the cow eat? What did the pig eat?
Right.
What did it makes a big difference in the quality of it for sure.
If you start
Critical.
digging around, you'll see horrible stories.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And I know quite a few farmers of both conventional and pasture-based regenerative origins, and some who've crossed from conventional to regenerative. Probably some of your farmers have done the same. And there are many stories to tell, but yes, what the animals are eating is absolutely critical.
Mhm.
Maureen, one of the events, I don't think you were there down at Polyface. It was first time we went to Polyface Farm with Holistic Hilda.
Yeah.
And we went as guests. And on that tour, that farm tour, Joel had held up one blade of grass. And he was talking about all the microbes and everything else under the soil, like gazillions of millions of healthy bacteria and whatnot. But he held up that one blade of grass and he said, this is 95% sunshine.
Isn't that
And
amazing?
That
Mhm.
I was like, I even posted that in email. And I mean, when you stop to think about that, think about just even vitamin D alone, and infrared and far infrared, all those all encompassing, right? Like, and that is what the cows are eating.
Yes.
So
That's what your cows are eating.
yes, yeah.
Cows are- and any cow
100%.
or goat or pig or
Yeah.
whatever that's on a regenerative, sustainable
And
farm.
it gives life. It really is a life-giving.
That's why it gives you energy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And if you walk barefoot in the grass, then you're
Ah.
getting it's like supercharging your body.
Mhm.
Yeah, but of course, conventionally, cattle are not fed grass.
No.
Mhm.
Even if you're talking about meat, grass-fed meat doesn't mean that it's non-toxic. It doesn't mean it's clean. It also doesn't mean that it was finished on grass.
Right.
Mhm.
We need animals that are just eating their natural diet. And for cattle, that's grass, just
Right.
grass.
Do you know, this was part of my research. This is kind of funny that, God gave cows 4 stomachs for a reason, to digest grass. That's what they're made to eat. So they have 4 stomachs, and the first one's called the rumen. And this, it's about the size of a 55-gallon trash can. So it's pretty big. It's big.
Yeah, that's massive.
And so that's the first stomach. So that they are chewing and then unswallowing, swallowing, and unswallowing, and that's called rumification. I think that's the word. So that's where the ruminant word comes in. We call it chewing the cud. But then all those, while that's unswallowing and swallowing, it's taking place. That's where all the bacteria and the microbes are working to break it all down, to release the phytonutrients. Grass is loaded with vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin K. That's where those fat soluble vitamins are coming from.
Yeah, and actually the grasses they don't have formed vitamin A, they have precursors. And that animals' stomachs are designed perfectly to convert those proteins into true vitamin A.
Better said. Yeah.
Well, and that's an important thing to note. And that just goes back to what I was mentioning earlier about true vitamin A is formed perfectly in the stomachs of ruminant animals, but not in people.
Mhm.
We don't chew our cud. We might in the metaphorical negative way, but we don't chew the cud.
Yeah. I'm kind of glad about that.
Me too. Oh, husband a kiss. Oh, wait. What's happened today? No. No, but also vitamin D. It's very difficult to get any other way than from animals. We can only make it when we have enough saturated fat and cholesterol in the subcutaneous layers of our skin. With everybody on statins, that's
Our bodies need cholesterol.
Yeah. And then you have to have, without sunscreen, you have to have exposure to the sun's rays that are coming down right now, midday. In the winter time, the beta rays don't reach the earth, or very, very few, depending on where you are. But animals animals can make vitamin D far better than humans can, and we need it. So we need to eat healthy animal fats in order to have vitamin D. So ghee, lard is another excellent source. Liver is an excellent source. And I do love liver.
Oh, I'll have to make you liver one of these days. I got delicious from a couple friends who have never associated that word with liver. I never did either. You know, growing up, my mother made it. Oh, it was like cooked to the texture of your sole on your shoe, you know?
Yes. But you, I'm sure, do as I do. You cook your liver and onions, if it's beef liver and onions in ghee.
And mushroom.
Yes.
And then I use paprika and all sorts of stuff. Yeah. Also pluck.
Yes. We can talk a little bit about pluck. That's another company, but you're bringing that in and incorporating it into your products. And that's so important. I use that also every day.
I love that stuff.
I do too. The two together are fabulous.
Yes.
So that leads into what you're doing then with your spice powders. And pluck is coming in. You're going to have it in tins as well, I understand. So tell us about those. I'm pretty excited.
We have, I'm looking back at them now, but this is pretty exciting too. We used to blend these flavors into the ghee, but long story short about losing our, we didn't have anyone to blend them during the COVID debacle there with the kitchen. So we have sriracha, turmeric and black pepper, black garlic, heirloom salt and pepper, maple, cinnamon, and now we have the pluck also.
It's not up on the site yet, but it's coming.
Yeah. So
And
now someone can take a 16-ounce jar of ghee, and we have the instructions on the back on how to blend it. So we have it based on a half cup. So they can put a teaspoon in, and there's several servings in each one of these. So this really opened up another door that we could keep our flavors, we could keep offering our flavors, but we have some ideas for other ones too, that I think the sky's the limit with this, that we can really, really go into the R&D mode and figure out what we're going to come up with next. So that part of it.
I think I like it more in tins because then you can vary the intensity.
Exactly. Yeah. Because some people like the black garlic, we don't have the salt added to it, because people, especially salt, people like to just add as much or as little as they want. So we figured that would be a better thing to do. The black garlic is by far has always been our super seller of the flavors for sure. So I'm really glad we still have been able to do this kind of thing.
Black garlic is aged organic white garlic through time, temperature, humidity, a couple other proprietary things that we get it from somebody here in the US. We never import out of the country. Most black garlic comes from Korea, Japan, and China, I think. So we don't do that. But it's got twice the antioxidants of white garlic, and white garlic is loaded with antioxidants. And then it has this sort of sweet little savory umami flavor profile that enhances just about anything it touches. But where it really rocks is like a grilled steak. It's nice on salmon, any veggie really. If you do pasta or anything like that, it's really good that way. But the other nice thing too about these tins is like you can mix. So like when we were at Polyface the other weekend, we made popcorn. So my popcorn was popped in ghee for the high heat. Yes. Then I melted some ghee down to pour over it. And then I blended black garlic, pluck, and Redmond's real salt on it. And people were like just flipping out over it. And it was really good. And sometimes I'll put paprika in there, or you put a little sriracha. The nice thing about these tins now is you can really create your own concoctions too, if you have that in you, And
you get a lot of use out of the jar. You can have black garlic for dinner, maple cinnamon for your breakfast. You always have your jar ghee there that you can start mixing with it. So I think that'll work out well.
That's exciting. And I really do like that I can make it stronger when I want it to be. I do popcorn with ghee also, but I haven't mixed anything in with it other than unrefined salt. So I'm going to try the pluck and the black garlic I'll make some for the kids tonight. Maybe I won't tell them. I'll just let them
I'll
taste.
send you the recipe. I have a
Okay.
recipe.
Good. And we
Yeah.
can put it up here as well. Beverly, when you were telling me the other day about where you source all of the ingredients for these spice mixes, I was absolutely fascinated. And I immediately went online and started looking up your sources, and I contacted a couple.
Good.
So tell us, maybe starting with the heirloom salt and black pepper.
Like where we get that.
Yeah.
Before I say that, Nancy and I, even when we were blending ghee, we always sourced the best possible ingredients, starting with butter. So we've always looked, because if you have one ingredient, it best be a good one.
Yeah.
So when we were doing the dried ingredients, we were sourcing very carefully. We wanted unique, clean, no anti-caking, no fillers, no preservatives, none of that. So that sort of sets the standards of where we go. So when we finally decided to do a salt and pepper, we were like, just a salt and pepper. It's got to be Redmond salt, or because we only ever used Redmond salt pretty much. And I'm like, And somewhere along the line, we found J.Q. Dickinson out of Malden, West Virginia. And this family is 7th generation. It's a brother and sister who found their great-great-grandfather's records.
Yeah, they found records from the family records from the 1800s, handwritten, like on how to harvest the salt, and they modernized everything, obviously. But yeah, it was nice that they brought it back.
Yeah, so they hand harvest with a little bit of modern technology. And this body of water is under the Appalachian Mountains. It is still considered extremely pristine, uncontaminated. And so they harvest the salt. It's amazing salt. And sometimes they'll sun dry it with wild ramps. They do bourbon barrel. They do a couple of different kinds, but they're extremely clean and high quality and delicious. Like, you don't need very much. So we decided we need to do the heirloom salt and telecherry black pepper. So that's just sort of how we source things. We found there was a local gentleman, he sold his business recently, but he was so anal about everything he brought in from the outside of the country. So like when he brought in Saigon cinnamon, for example, he knew the farmer in Vietnam that did that. And then they would come in on the West Coast and they were steam cleaned. They were never radiated. Even some of these major spice companies you see in the grocery store say they're organic and everything, they are all radiated. Yes. So he said never would his stuff be radiated. It was steam cleaned. And then part of his purification process was roasting it. It also helps it. And then he would grind it fresh. So like, we got our sriracha from him. We got our cinnamon from him. We got black telecherry pepper from him. The guy was amazing. Yeah.
It sounds fascinating, and I'm eager to try those very things. I'm glad you even brought up the irradiation, because most people don't realize that they're eating food that has been irradiated. That's radiation, nuclear. It's like literally tiny scale wise nuclear power factories that radiate all the food coming in to this country from other countries, unless someone intentionally can sidestep that. But I've noticed that, especially with my produce now, that I can bring something home from the grocery store, and even if it's organic, and very quickly, maybe an avocado, a banana, whatever, and it starts to get spots that are basically just dead tissue from the radiation. Yeah. So by not irradiating the spices, we're not taking in more radiation. And I'm sure it affects the flavor as well.
Right. We've always wanted to support local too. So like our black garlic comes from a garlic farm in New Hampshire. And the guy is just a delight. And we started working with him again. Well, we started working with him last year during COVID. We had an issue with our other supplier. So we were able to find him, and he has just been a pure delight. And his black garlic is really good. There's no bitterness. Like, I don't pick up any bitterness in there. And so, and there's a few on the horizon that we're looking at that are smaller producers, here within the US confines and really practice good, clean processes. That's very important to us. And then we're going to also start blending some more. Like I have this idea, like Dr. Cowan's garden and their vegetable powders are amazing. And so I've got a couple ideas brewing up here to use some of those vegetable powders and adding some nice porcini, mushrooms or salt, or, come up with some nice, really interesting savory combos. I'm more savory. Nancy is too. Mm-hmm. We have a maple cinnamon. The maple sugar comes from a local Pennsylvania, what do you call that? Maple sugar maker. Syruper. And then there's some Saigon cinnamon and Redmond's real salt, but it's not real sweet. But that maple sugar is lower in glycemic. We always are kind of from afar looking at those points too. So,
and that's the one. A lot of people that use it say they just sometimes just eat it. They seem embarrassed, but they say, "I just eat out of the jar. I don't put on anything. I just eat out of the jar." So,
and it's not terribly sweet.
Yeah.
It's good. It's great on salmon and baked yams.
And some of these special diets like the keto diet or Whole30, they can use a lot of these. So they're really excited. We've had people at events that are very excited about the flavors because they can, really enhance their food that they're eating on these diets. Even the maple cinnamon, they can at least have a tablespoon before it hits their sugar levels. Yeah. So there's a lot of different applications.
And you
They're
can
endless, really. Yeah.
And you can just sprinkle it. I find myself like I'll throw a teaspoon of ghee in the saute pan and fresh asparagus. Yeah. And I get her cooking up a little bit, and then I sprinkle black garlic over it, some salt, and it gets a little barbecue-ish kind of umami, sort of smoked, like give that to me now flavor. And it's dinner. You know what I mean? It's so simple. Easy. That's why it's Simply Ghee. It's so easy to use. Anybody can cook, folks. Anyone can cook. Yeah. Anyone can cook.
I always say that good food, good for you, but good tasting food does not have to be difficult. And you're making it very easy. You're making it very easy with the combination of the ghee and these powders. So I'm getting ideas. I've had ideas already and I've been playing around.
Share them.
I will. I think last week I put up a picture of an empty bowl. I had made liver and onions and used the black garlic powder. But I couldn't wait to take a picture. I just devoured it. Empty bowl because I'd eaten the whole thing.
Don't you feel good when you eat liver?
I do.
There's something, especially with all that good ghee in there and the savory. It's like, I feel so good. I don't think it's just up here.
No,
maybe it is. And so what if it is,
It doesn't matter if you feel good. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Well, I'm really excited about all of those things and I'm eager to see what's coming next.
So are we.
You'll have to let us know right away. But well, Nancy and Bev, it has been delightful sharing time with you and learning about what you're doing and seeing your excitement. I especially appreciate your enthusiasm for what you're doing and I share that with you. So I'm grateful for the time that we had. And I just want to tell our audience, it's not just an infomercial. This is a really delicious and highly nutritious product. And I just urge you to give it a try. And especially with the combination of the spice powders and the pluck seasoning and the seasoning in and of itself. And it's organ based. And we've talked about that a little bit, but give them a try. I don't think anyone would ever regret it. It's so delicious. So thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Oh, Marie.
We're very, very grateful to you for your support and thank you.
We adore you.
Thank you.
Every time I see you, I just want to hug you and a smile on your
I was telling someone about you the other day. I think my friend who was just here, and I was talking about how much I love you ladies and the product. And I said, and Beverly, she's a lot like me. Maybe that's why I like it. But I said, she's exuberant, enthusiastic, colorful. And I said, and she's also really fun. I don't know if I'm really fun, but she's really fun.
There's some other sides of me, Maureen. Ask
So-
that one.
Me too. Oh, Nancy's going to keep her lips.
Yeah.
Zipped.
We all have that. I know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you again. God
Sure,
bless
yeah,
you.
thank you.
Yeah.
And we'll see you again soon, I'm sure.
I can't
Yes.
wait. Thanks,
Good.
Maureen.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.